Hi, friends. Thank you so much for joining us today, for showing up, for yourself and for a little inspiration. I am here with Natalia, who will introduce herself better than I can, but she'll talk to us a little bit about her kind of process working with me and go from there. So if you are interested in working together, definitely kind of get your spot on my calendar and let's chat and see if we're a good fit. All right, so kick us off, Natalia. Thank you so much for joining me and sharing kind of your journey with us.
Hi, everyone. Very happy to be here. Like Dr. Josie said, my name is Natalia. I am a current applicant for the 2024-2025 AMCAS medical school application cycle. And I guess we can kick it off with some stats. So I graduated from undergrad with a bachelor's in biology, ended up with a 3.8 overall GPA. And then the science one that's calculated by the AMCAS ended up being a 3.85. I'm currently doing my master's in public health, and I had some work to show when I applied to medical school. So my GPA for my master's was a 3.94. and my MCAT was a 505, and that was my second attempt.
I remember us talking and kind of starting to work, and then you delayed applying. What was that decision? Because I feel like sometimes students have a tough time thinking about, am I ready? Should I apply this cycle? Should I do a master's? Should I do a post-bac? And sometimes it's clear and sometimes it's not clear. So how was your kind of decision process for that?
Yeah, absolutely. I was super prepared. I was like, I'm going to start with Dr. Josie super early. And we had actually written some things. I think we had gotten pretty far along into the personal statement when I got my MCAT score back. And I realized I had ended up scoring, I believe it was a 499. And I realized that that wasn't a score that I felt comfortable applying to. And it really came down to just weighing out, do I want to risk applying, spending a lot of money, investing a lot of time and energy into this process? And, I don't know how true this is, but there's this stigma that flows around of you being a reapplicant. And so I didn't really want to risk that if it meant that I could try again and score better. And it was a difficult decision. I think that most people don't want to take that extra gap year if they don't have to. I think medicine is already a very long, career. And sometimes delaying it by a year can feel like a lot. But in hindsight, and when you look at the big picture, it's just 1 year. And if that makes a difference of getting maybe one interview or no interviews versus getting 10 or 15, to me, that was worth it. And, I talked to my pre-health advisor. I think I had spoken with you, and I ended up just delaying it. And I still felt good about it because I already had some things going. I knew a little bit about my personal statement, what I had to look for. And then I really just focused on my MCAT to make sure that I could get a score that I felt comfortable with and confident with.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you are staring down kind of delaying a year, and that could be scary, but it's to have that macro view and to really think about your not only application but career in a kind of longer vision than just the next year. Sometimes it is great, and sometimes that's not the case for students and will apply, but at least have kind of that thoughtful engagement where you're really honest about kind of, your thought process and stats and stuff. Awesome. So you are kind of, we're filming this late January, February, you're knee deep, kind of tail end of the application. What advice would you give pre-meds about starting the application process?
Yeah, it's a difficult process. So hunker down, I guess I'll start with that. But, everyone says this and you probably see this everywhere. I'm sure you say it, you find it on Reddit, SDN, your pre-health office is telling you this, but applying early and starting early, just not even applying, just starting early is really such a powerful thing that you're in control of, that you can do. Because a lot of this process is filled with a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of things that you can't control, but applying early is one that you can. And I think it just relieves a lot of emotional and a burden of you being late to deadlines, having to rush through applying to secondaries or getting stuff done. So starting early is really, really important, all the way from freshman year or whenever it is that you decide that you want to apply to medical school. It's really honing in on those relationships with your professors, your letter writers, getting in touch with the pre-health office, making sure that you're aware, do they have a committee? What are their deadlines? Do I need to take a preview score or a preview exam, a Casper exam? How many schools am I looking to apply to? Do I need to start pre-writing? So I think starting early is something that's said all the time, but I was somebody who did apply early. I applied the first day that the application opened, and I was very prepared. And I realized how much of a, I guess, more relaxed cycle I had compared to other friends who were rushing last minute to submit something. They forgot they had to take Casper for school. So now they were in between, do I apply? Do I take it? Do I just miss out on applying to the school? So a lot of benefits of applying early. I think that that's something you can't go wrong with.
Yeah. And I feel like, I mean, you kind of mentioned it, but I feel like you stayed early, right? So like you applied, you submitted your primary, you started pre-writing right away. Like you just kind of stayed proactive in a way that felt like you had kind of a handle on every stage of the application. And it's still overwhelming and it's still
Oh
kind of
yeah.
still has those moments, but it felt like when you were kind of proactive in kind of staying early with everything, it becomes a little bit more manageable, I feel like. Yeah, no, for sure. What has been the most surprising part of applying?
I think the amount of uncertainty and downtime,
Okay.
you know, I were in late January, I interviewed at a school in early September and I still haven't heard back. And I think that, as pre-meds, people are, we're used to being very proactive, like you're saying, doing a lot of things, being, just distracted. And this process really, there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of things that you can't control. And oftentimes that's very difficult to come to terms with. And I think being aware that there's going to be a lot of uncertainty, knowing that if you ask a school when they're going to release decisions, they're not going to tell you, being unsure of how like waitlist, options work. And if you're ever going to get off, there's a lot of things that unfortunately schools don't talk about and don't share. And I think that that's going into the cycle, knowing that you're going to be expecting to wait a few months for a decision and not being 100% sure of, am I going to get off the wait list? When am I going to receive my scholarship information? I think is important. And I think it serves as a nice time to reflect and get busy with other hobbies and do things that you're not going to have time for. I mean, hopefully you will, but maybe not as much starting in med school. So I think that that's been very surprising. It's the amount of downtime that you have between everything. Like you submit a secondary, then you're waiting for an interview, possibly you never get one, or you get rejected all the way in March or April, almost a year after you submitted your secondary. So a lot of waiting and a lot of uncertainty, which I think going into the process, knowing that and being okay with that makes things a little less anxiety inducing.
Yeah, I feel like that's such a great kind of piece of advice because there's so many months. So like when we start, like when you are working on your primary, so you're doing your personal statement, you're doing your activities, there's a way in which you can kind of like feel good, like feel a sense of like you're being productive because you're going to go back to your personal statement and you're going to look at that line or do I rework this paragraph? So it's like you're constantly thinking about your application, you're constantly doing something, but then all of a sudden, once you turn in, it's like these gaps of silence and these like moments. And so getting comfortable with that, because there are ways in which you can kind of like delude yourself. I don't know, kind of like there's like a delusional aspect of like productivity sometimes that is doing something where sometimes that's just kind of like, I don't know. Does that make sense? Like
delusion is the perfect word. Yeah, I think that's perfect. Yeah, it's frustrating, especially because you put so much time and effort into your application and not seeing the fruits of that maybe ever or months later is really annoying, really frustrating. But if you go and, you're not the only one. Sometimes I'm thinking like, am I just the only one that hasn't heard back from the school in September? But you realize that it's just a common thing for these schools to not respond. And so I think if you go in with that, it makes it a little less uncomfortable.
No. Sure. So whatever you feel comfortable sharing, application status, how many schools did you apply to? You may still hear more, but what are like number of interviews, acceptances so far?
So I applied to 40 MD schools, and I'll preface with saying I did have fee assistance program. So I used 20 of those through that program. Right. So I know that 40 is a lot, but I wanted to take advantage of the fact that I had that program. And because my MCAT was on the weaker side, I wanted to give myself more opportunity. But I ended up applying to 40 MD schools, 3 DO schools. So far, I have 10 MD interviews, 3 acceptances, and then I had 2 DO interviews, 1 acceptance. And I still haven't heard from like a third of my schools. So I'm manifesting for some good news and to add a few more numbers to that. But it's been a really great cycle. I can't complain even if it ends now.
Yeah, no, it's been amazing. It's congratulations because it's really, really been amazing. And kudos to you. Like, I feel so lucky to work with students and to be in the position that I am to kind of connect with you all, because I feel like I come in kind of at the 1 yard line, but you've dedicated years of experiences and academic experiences, clinical work, volunteer to get to where we have content to write about, where you have kind of like your values was really clearly stated. But now it's almost like I come in a privileged position to kind of help you articulate that. And you've been this entire time, even with like, update letters and kind of like, you are very open to doing what you need to do to really kind of clearly and concisely and compellingly kind of share your story at all aspects of your application. So kudos to you, but congratulations, because it's been a great cycle so far.
Thank you. Yes, I'm
Yeah.
very happy.
So, I mean, unfair to ask because I'm in the room, but what's been your experience working together?
Yeah, I think it's been nothing short of really like amazing and very supportive. I love to write and I think of myself as a decent writer, but it's different when the caliber of the writing is this intense and it has to, I mean, I think I'm a product of this, of writing really does make a difference.
Yeah.
And the way how you share your story and the narrative and how you convey yourself to people. I mean, at the end of the day, admissions committees are humans. They're like you and me, they have feelings and emotions that we all do. And being able to connect with that through writing is, to me, a really beautiful and powerful thing, and something that you help to do really well, because I had so many thoughts, I had so many experiences, different ideas. And sometimes you have a hard time talking about, well, how do I want to share this exactly? What pieces of this do I need to hone in on versus which do I need to step away and maybe remove or leave for later? There's a lot of thinking of, do I add this in my primary? Do I add this in my secondaries? Like, a lot of it is, it's not very intuitive sometimes. You don't know, you want to be smart and think about, what do I mention here? What big picture kind of theme do I want to talk about and share with these people before they get to see my secondary, before they get to interview me? So it's been really great. I think that, I mean, many people have commented on my personal statement saying that it's been an exceptional thing to read. So I know that I would have not done that without you. And so I'm really happy. And I think that you've given me confidence, and every step of the way. I mean, we're in late January. I'm still emailing you. You're still responsive. We have office hours that I was probably the one that was there all the time, editing secondaries. You're helping me with update letters of continued interest. Like, it really is a long haul, and it takes more than just working on primary and secondaries. I mean, you help with interviews. So it's this all-encompassing thing that I think, I mean, I've never seen somebody else offer something so in-depth like this, and really be supporting at every step of the way. Because at the end of the day, that's at least what I need. I need somebody to lean on and be like, hey, does this sound good? Or, oh, last minute, I changed my mind. Like for the update letter, I had changed it like 2-3 times. Like, I'm sorry, can you review it again? So I think that that's very comforting, again, in a process where a lot of things are out of our control. So being able to get help with that, and something that's really so important, I think is really invaluable.
Oh my goodness, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. I mean, you don't want to feel alone. It's such an overwhelming, such a drawn out process. And you've worked so much for so many years to get to here. You want to make sure that you put your best foot forward, however that support looks like for anybody, everybody. And that's perfect. But if it's messaging, if it's kind of like becoming that kind of writing partner with someone to really elevate your message, that's definitely kind of what we've done, and what my focus is for students to kind of read back their personal statement or secondaries or an update letter and be like, man, that really, I am proud to kind of say that this is me on paper, that this is my story. So and you've been just kind of a stellar student to work with. One, I love your story. I love everything you've done and worked towards and all the accomplishments, but also just as a writing partner, it's been great to kind of think through things and how to kind of crystallize your message. Thank you. This is awesome. Anything else you think pre-med should know about anything? I don't know.
Again, this is probably said 100 million times, but don't let stats steer you away from applying to schools. I mean, I don't have perfect stats by any means. Sure, a 3.8 is a very solid GPA, and a 505 is not the end of the world in terms of my MCAT score. But, when you're around all these people who are talking about getting 90th percentiles and doing all these crazy things, it's the imposter syndrome hits, and it feels like, what is the point of me even applying? But again, it's what I said earlier, like, admissions committees are humans. They have emotions, they have feelings, and they really just want to see, is this somebody who can care for my mother or for my child? And I think that stats don't really depict that, and don't really explain how that can be done. And I think giving yourself the opportunity to apply to schools that you connect with, that you vibe with on mission, that you like their opportunities with, is going to mean a lot more, and is going to go, I think, a lot further than just, limiting yourself because you think that you don't fit, the stats. getting acceptances to schools where I'm nowhere near their even 10th percentile, 25th percentile. So I think it goes to show that there's so many other things that they care about than stats. And, stats are just one thing, and give yourself the shot that you deserve.
Absolutely. Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you so much, Natalia. This has been amazing.
Awesome.
Thank you for your time. If you guys are watching out there and you're interested in learning about how I work with students, definitely get your kind of spot on my calendar. The application is in the link below. And maybe this time next year, it's you I am interviewing, right? So yeah, thank you so much again.
Thank you.
That's it. Have a good one.